Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world.
Mhm.
Great to have you here with us in this mastery coaching of the International Empowerment Coaches. I will be sharing my screen and then we'll start our session here. All right. So yeah, we're living in crazy times, right? COVID-19, being in quarantine, and that's basically what we're going to talk about this in this session. Because being in quarantine, it yeah brings a lot of challenges. One of those challenges is being with your spouse maybe more than you are used to, and the possible stress and tensions that it could bring with it. So of course, we hope that everyone is healthy, everyone is safe, and that's the most important thing, of course. But these are challenging times, and we hope that in this session you'll find a lot of value um, in how to deal with stress, with possible stress that you might have within your relationship right now. So let's take a look at the program real quick. So again, my name is Ivanildo. I live in the Netherlands together with my wife and 4 children. I am with my wife. We own a health organization where we take care of people with the mental disability and psychological disorders. So we provide 24/7 care with a small team of employers, and that's my core business, to say so. And I'm also a strategic intervention coach. Today, 2 other coaches will be present and will present and give value today. And one of them is Ophelia Madrigal. Ophelia, welcome. I don't know if I can
Welcome.
show
Thank
your.
you. Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, Vanildo. Thank you for giving us this space so we can share a little bit about how to manage stress as, and during COVID-19, especially now that we're confined to four walls, pretty much. So being in this is a space and having to spend more time with your partner or with your kids is not easy. So learning how to handle stress during COVID-19 is a key in order for us to stay alive and to stay healthy mentally and physically.
Right. Great. So Ophelia will be giving you some tips on dealing with stress within your relationship during these troubled times. I will personally share something about the iceberg psychology, which may be familiar to a lot of you guys, but I will also show you how this relates to your relationship and how you can deal with tension and stress within the relationship. And Malka will also be present. Great to have you here on board, Malka.
Hello. So,
And
yeah, so I'll be sharing a meditation today related to handling stress in close quarters where all the little things tend to get to us.
great, sounds great. I hope I can make it till the end because I have some other work and personal responsibilities that I need to take care of after my presentation. But if I'm not able, then I think that Marcus' meditation and Ophelia's tips will be very valuable. Yeah, let's move on to our next sheet. So the iceberg psychology, which basically is about that, as you can see on this picture, if you look at it, if you look at the total percentage of the iceberg, you see that only 10% of it, or like around 10, maybe 20% of it is above water. That is what you see. And almost 90 to 80 to 90% is underwater. It's what you cannot see. So this whole theory or metaphor, if you want to say, is about what you see is not always what you get. So a lot of times only 10 or 20% of our issues is above water, but most of the times 80 to 90% is underwater. So that's what we're going to explore in this short section. So you might be familiar with this iceberg theory or metaphor. So as you see in this picture, the 10 to 20% are the things that you can see, and the 80 to 90% are things that you cannot see. But you can also say, maybe you are more familiar with the term that you are only conscious of 10 to 20% of what's going on in your life, and that you are unconscious of 80 to 90% of what's going on. So we want to pass the surface, go beyond the surface of our issues and try to find beneath the water, go a bit further underwater and find what's underneath our issues. So we can also speak in terms of symptoms, that we see, that we experience, that we feel perhaps in our mind, body, emotions. That those are the things that are above water. Those are the things that are visual, that we are conscious of. But the cause, the things that create those symptoms, a lot of times we are unaware of them. We don't see them because they are underwater. So as I mentioned, the things that you can see and feel, that you are conscious of, these can be emotional, physical, mental aches, distresses, and discomfort. For example, you can experience headaches, anxiety, tension, frustration, sleeplessness, anger, sadness, just to name a few emotions, symptoms, things that you can experience, that you are aware of, that you are conscious of right now in your mind, in your body, in your emotions. But it's, the question, of course, the question is more like, but what's underneath? What's this 80 to 90% that is creating all these symptoms, all this anxiety or tension and frustration? And then right now, specifically to your or inside your relationship, what is it that you are dealing with right now? Why is it that you might be angry, or that you might be sad, or that you're not sleeping well, or that you feel frustration or headaches, anxiety, and tensions? So let's take a look at that, because there are different layers underneath the water, to say so, that cause these things. The first layer is what we call rules. So we all have certain rules we live by, and a lot of times we are very unconscious of our rules. Just to name a few examples, maybe you have a rule that you want to eat at a fixed time, and without a screen, without phone. That's a very logical rule, right? I mean, it doesn't sound very weird or strange. But what the thing with rules is that when our rules are being broken by others, it triggers emotions, right? It triggers something in our bodies. For example, tension or anger, right? Or frustration when someone, or when our partners do not show up on time for dinner, for example, just to name random example. Another rule could be, for example, clean up after yourself. You know, being with each other so much, you know, it can be frustrating. You know, if your partner, if you have a rule that you want the house to be neat and clean and organized, and your partner who might usually be off to work and not be home, um, now is around 24/7 and creates more mess than you are used to, perhaps. Um, so that rule is being broken, right? And that gives frustration, tension, anger, but even, you know, in the, yeah, some extreme cases, anxiety. And why is that? Why could you feel anxiety when your rules are being broken? It's because of the second layer, or the other layers, I should say, underneath the water. Because the next layer is the layer of values. Because we have certain rules because we value things. You know, for example, in the example of eating at a fixed time, why do you have that rule? Probably because you might value the time together. You might value structure, perhaps. You might value order. You might value having attention for each other, feeling connected, perhaps. Um, or, you know, when you look at the rule of cleaning up after yourself, you know, what value is underneath that rule? What do you value? You might value a clean house. You might value good hygiene. You might value, you know, whatever it is that is important to you, right? So those are our values, the things that are important to us. But there is actually a deeper layer under these rules and these values, and I kind of touched on it a little bit, because underneath these rules and values, why do we have these rules? Why do we have these values? Is because we have certain needs, and we all have the same 6 primary human needs that I'll touch on real quick after this sheet, that we share as human beings. And those are basically the driving forces in why we do the things that we do, why we value stuff, why we have certain rules, because we need things. For example, if you look at the rule and the value of eating at a fixed time without distraction, because you want quality time and you want attention for each other, you know, the need underneath that could be a need to feel connected, right, with your partner. Cleaning up after yourself because you want order and good hygiene might also be a need for certainty, you know, for feeling certain about things, especially in these uncertain times. You know, we tend to control or manage, you know, our house more than we are used to, because that gives us certainty. It gives us a certain sense and feeling of control. So let's take a quick look to those 6 basic human needs, and then I'll give it back to my colleague and a good friend, Ophelia, because these are the 6 basic human needs that we have and that we as international empowerment coaches very often use in our one-on-one coaching, because everything, every behavior, all the things that we do really come down to these 6 human needs. So the first human need is certainty, you know, the assurance that you can avoid pain and gain pleasure, right? So the certainty that you are safe. And, you know, we express this certainty in very different ways. When you look at our relationship, we might have a need to feel certain that that our partner loves us. Maybe we need certainty that the other will never leave us. Right? So the certainty, the need for not being alone. Um, and but the funny thing is that even when we have a need for certainty, at the same time we also need uncertainty in a sense of variety. You know, the need for the unknown, for change, new stimuli, adventure, challenges. Um, and you know, I think you might see that in my relationship. It's always like when there is certainty in my relationship, you know, when our relationship is at a stable has a stable foundation, because we kind of tend to go into circles or cycles, I should say, of growth, right? Where we go into stability, and then there's some instability, and then we go back to stability, and then as we move on, we grow and we grow. And in my relationship, I see that when we're at this stable, certain phase in our relationship, my wife starts to create variety around the house. You know, then she starts to move furniture and starts to paint the walls and stuff. Yeah, that's always, I find that a very funny paradox. You know, the need for certainty and uncertainty at the same time. And another need is the need for significance, right? We all have this need to feel unique. We all want to feel important and special and of value, you know, or needed. And that's a very important need for most of us as well. The need for connection and love, right? The need to feel. So let's go back quickly to the need for significance in your relationship, right? So that could mean that you might want to be the most important person for your partner, right? That you want to be feel so significant to your partner, that you are really important to your partner, that your partner sees you, that your partner cares about you, that you are significant. And the fourth is connection and love, that you also feel connected, that you feel loved, and that you can express love, right? So a strong feeling of closeness or union with someone or something. So these four human needs we talked about, they have a different color than the last two, because most of the times we call these four human needs the emotional human needs. You know, they are on the level, to say so, of our emotions. The last two are more geared towards spiritual needs, right? So the need for growth, which is basically, you know, the need to learn, to grow, to develop, right? An expansion of capacity, capability, or understanding is a very important need. The need for contribution, right? So that you can contribute to something or someone. A sense of service and focus on helping, giving to, and supporting others. And in your relationship, this could also be a pitfall, right? When you are the one who's constantly contributing to your partner, and you give so much and so much and so much, because maybe you are trying to find certainty or significance or connection and love through this contribution. Sometimes we go over our own borders, to say so, and we forget to love ourselves, to contribute to ourselves as well, which is also a very important part of contribution. So I'm going to hand it over back to Ophelia right now, who has some great tips on how to deal with stress within your relationship. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then she will start sharing hers and pick up from where we left.
Well, thank you, Vanildo. Yeah, as you said, let me start sharing my screen really quick. Thank you. So we're going to start from here. As you said, Vanildo, you summarize exactly what is the 6 human needs. I was kind of debating with another coach, and trying to identify what are the needs out of these human needs that we're fulfilling or experiencing more often through the COVID-19. Keeping in mind that we are living in a world that is full of uncertainties, fear of things. We don't know exactly what is going to happen. There is so much that we can hear from the news, from the government, and we don't know exactly. I don't even know if they have exactly a date when we're going to go back to normal life. So while we were debating about what are the needs that we were meeting throughout this situation going on, we agree on being uncertainty. One of the needs that right now are our behavior and the way that we perceive things, the way that we fulfill our needs are mainly within the need of variety and uncertainty. But going down to stress in relationship, a relationship is always going to be tied to connection and love. So if we think of your significant other or your husband or whoever you're living, even with your kids, because we're spending more time now along with everybody. So if we stay in mind with uncertainty and love and connection, we could be able to identify what are the areas that we have space so we can grow and connect and stay in harmony within the house. So the 3 relationship tips in dealing with COVID-19 that I have here is check your attitude. So imagine that you're in your house. We have that wrongful belief or sense of we want to keep control of everything within the house. And that can actually be achievable when you're on your own in the house. But when the kids are in the house, when husband is in the house, when there is not on a schedule of what are the things that we should be responsible for within the house, it can be quite overwhelming, especially for us as a woman. And if you add to that now husbands or boyfriends or significant other is in the house more often than he used to, now the stress that you're experiencing is going to be pretty much you're passing that to your significant other. And now it's not only you the one that are feeling stressed and overwhelmed, now it is your significant other, and your kids are going to perceive that hostile environment. So if we check on our attitude, so stress, as you mentioned, Evanildo, that is just our behavior is whatever is up on the surface, but we don't see what is inside. What is it? Why is it that I'm feeling frustrated when I am home? Because now the house is not, I can no longer keep up with the house. The kids, they want to get up whatever time they want to get up. My husband is the owner of the remote control, and he's not doing things around the house. So we feel that sense of losing the control in the house, and it is creating high levels of stress. And it comes down, as you mentioned, Evanildo, to your rules, your values, and your needs. Like, for example, I have a rule in the house. My house, there is one time to have breakfast, one time to have lunch, and one time to have dinner. And if my family is not there on the table at the time that they have to have the meals as a family, I get so frustrated for when they come and snack and they want to have lunch and dinner in a different time than I have it scheduled. It's so frustrating. And then I start arguing, and then I get attitude because I think I am right and I think they are wrong. And I say, like, hold on, it has nothing to do with that. It has more to do with me, with my values, and with the rules that I have in the house. But it comes also down to the needs, right? Me, it's satisfying. What are the needs that I'm satisfying by getting angry and getting upset and getting frustrated and getting the attitude? So that only gives me the false sense of control. We have no control of our environment, but we do have control of our emotions. And if we cannot control our emotions, it can become pretty much like a battlefield in the house. So you only end up hurting your relationship, and that's what happens that happens quite often that when we are not able to handle our stress, we end up hurting a relationship because our attitude get out of control. And here comes, how can, if I identify that, because we usually get to see what other people's attitudes, it is very difficult for us to see our own attitudes. We know we all have attitudes, but how can I see or perceive my own attitude when I don't see myself? I only see my partner or significant other. So I think it is very important to do a scan, kind of like scan your significant other's attitude, because a lot of his attitude is the reflection of your own attitude. So if your significant other is responding to you with attitude, there is a high likelihood that he or she also perceive attitude from you. So it is important also to be able to identify what's under the surface. What's over the surface is the attitude. What is under the surface, what it is under the surface is also his or her values and rules, but it is also the way you approach to this person. So if you're able to identify that under any anger or frustration, whatever feeling that you're experiencing at the moment, that it can be a low frequency or negative feeling or emotion is coming, what is the root of it? We only see anger, but in reality, there is fear under the surface. Under anger, there is fear. If I see that my partner is angry, I can become very defensive in order for me to protect myself. But if I know that my partner is angry, but within that anger, there is a fear of being wrong, a fear of being less of a fear of losing me, or creating this relationship and just dissolving it. It's just the fear of losing. You don't want to lose. So that same fear that he or she is experiencing, I am also experiencing. So if I know that my partner is not only angry for what I did or what we didn't do, but for the fear of somehow damaging the relationship. So if we have different perception, it's definitely going to change the way you approach and try to solve this situation. Then we move to the next steps. The next tip is give each other plenty of space, physically and emotionally. And it can seem paradoxical because you say physically, but we are only in a house. So what space can I give him or give her? We are confined to be in the house. Well, physically and emotionally, I think it is very important to get distance emotionally, and we actually do it before we even do it physically. I believe that it is very important for us to get to know our significant other and also our kids, to understand when they are feeling some sort of irritability, fear, tension, tiredness, or to identify the triggers. Once I identify the triggers of what makes my significant other or kids angry, so then we're going to try to find different approaches to communicate with them. And if that's the case, you can actually start seeing that when you communicate with that significant other, their voices start raising. Now the environment is still you can start feeling that in the environment. And that's the moment when you say, I need to give him or give her a space, because I know that if I continue, this is gonna just pretty much blow up, and we don't want to create that hostile environment. So understanding how your significant other or your family members in the house experience anger and frustration, and how do they experience stress, it is very crucial for us to be able to lower the volume of whatever situation is going in the moment. And I schedule mindfulness conversation. When I'm angry, I would like you do this and that. Usually we want to solve problems when we are angry. And it is irrational to think that you're going to solve a problem from a state of angerness. If you're in a state of angerness, the likelihood is that you're going to raise the problems and make them even bigger than what they are. So that's why we need that space. I'm angry at this moment, and I know that I'm losing the control of my emotions. I'm also, this stress is getting in my head, so I need to step back. You can do it physically or emotionally. By stepping back is just keeping silence, and then don't add more wood to the fire, but it's stepping back. In this situation, I would like to share a little bit about my relationship with my husband. I mean, after 26 years of being together, I have learned a lot, not only from him, but from me, because I was in a state of mind where I was actually looking most of the time what were his flaws, so what were the things that I didn't like about him, then seeing what is the benefits, how I was getting benefited from those traits that I didn't like about him. And pretty much we can understand the power of focus. If I was so focused into the things that I didn't like about my husband and how this were creating so much stress on me, well, it was raising also my levels of stress. So it has nothing to do with him. It has more to do with me. So now we move to tip number 3. We have to acknowledge and accept your differences. As I was saying, we are so different. At the beginning, when we start dating, we always looking for people who is compatible with us, who have traits or likes just as we do. But as we get older, things change. Things change. So I believe that it's finding those ways of us. What are the difference among us is pretty much what it can get us connected. So the best time to fresh up in your activity is your active listening. So this is what we can actually invest right now in our relationships, because now we can practice more active listening. So you can hear the person. Is when it comes to conversation, it is not much about what you have to say, but to get your point across, to understand what the other person, the listener, is understanding of also the information that you're sharing. I learned that to be kind and be more important is to be right. So what do you do when you're having these stressful moments in the family? Would you rather be right, or would you rather be pretty much keep the peace in the house? So it's more important to be right, isn't it? Not for many people, but the most important is to keep the peace in the house. Something that I really quick I want to share when it comes to differences. When it comes to going to tip 2, give each other plenty of space. It is important for you guys, for your partner, for when you're having this conversation, that after you guys have this agreement, when you guys are in a better state of mind, in a more calm and relaxed, where we can freely communicate in a more understandable way, I think it is very important for you to let your partner know what do you want him or her to do when he or she sees you angry. So if I'm getting very angry and frustrated, and at that moment I wanna just pretty much punch my partner or push him away from me, and this partner, what they want to do is just to hold me or just maybe just add more information, or start pretty much blaming things on me. That is also going to be the trigger to add more fire, to add more wood to the fire. So when you're having your own one-on-one time in a more calm way, I would recommend you, that's the moment for you to let your partner know what do you want him or her to do when he or she sees you angry. For example, when I'm very angry, I want space. I want silence. I want to be in my room, or I'm just going to go for a walk, or I'm just going to be in my backyard and wait until things, until I cool down, until I can better process information from my mind, from my cognition, rather than from my emotional state of mind. And in this case, my husband says, when I'm angry, I want you to say, it's all right, everything is fine, I hear you, and you're right. He wants to hear, you're right. The moment that I say you're right is like, got it. And it comes down to ego, right? But if that makes him feel good at the moment, and that is going to calm the situation at the moment, I'll tell him, hey, yeah, oh, yeah, you're right. But then that's when things, are pretty much we having the arguments. In order for me to help him cool down, I just have to tell him, yeah, you're right. But then I wait for different moments so we can have this inner conversation, deeper conversation among him and I, and say, hey, do you remember when you said this? Well, you know what, I think I say you're right at the moment, but now that I'm analyzing things different, how do you think about, solving things of different situation? So it is pretty much uh, understanding how your partner or how other people feel stress, and how do you feel stress. So the relationship with stress and it plays a key role in how you're going to be able to face or overcome stress. So we're going to be sharing some more information or answer any questions that you might have at the end of this session about the 6 human needs, about the iceberg, psychology, and how to handle the stress, and these 3 tips at the end. And for right now, we're gonna pass on the microphone to Manka. Manka has a little bit of information that she would like to share, and that also includes that she's gonna be, I have no control of the PowerPoint, but she's also gonna give us some tips about how to practice meditation when feeling stress in relationships. Manka, are you there?
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Hi. So I'm going to share a short meditation because, as we all know, in close quarters, lots of times it's the little things about the people that are close to us and around us all the time that can tend to get to us and get on our nerves. So this is a meditation that I do with my clients, and they say that it's very helpful in this. And I call it surrendering into love. So during the meditation, if you allow yourself to be washed over by the emotions, to let the emotions wash into you, wash through you, the more you're able to do this, the more powerful, impactful it'll be for you. So if you can find a spot, find a position that you're comfortable, could be sitting up, leaning, laying down, whatever works for you is fine. And we're going to start with a little breathing. And the breathing is going to be to the count of 4. Excuse me. It'll be 4 in breath. We'll count to 4 during the in breath, then we'll hold for 4, then we'll exhale for 4, and then we'll hold for 4. Now, this works for most people. The count to 4 works well. Sometimes there's some people who it doesn't work well for, and that's fine. Just set your own rhythmic breathing. And you don't have to worry. The main thing is relax into the breathing. And then if you do your own rhythmic breathing, then you'll join us at the end when we go into the actual meditation. The key words will be for you to know that it's that time you can continue breathing. When you hear those words, you just refocus on my voice, and then we keep on going. Okay, so now I'd like everyone to please close their eyes, and we'll begin with the breathing. So let's breathe in and hold 2, 3, 4. Breathe out 2, 3, 4, and hold 2, 3, 4, breathe in. And hold. Breathe out. And hold. 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 You can continue breathing as you find a place within yourself of experiencing the deepest possible love. If it helps, you can envision a parent or child or spouse, partner, a friend, or a pet. Utilize whatever is needed to bring yourself into a place of deep, unconditional love. Now, multiply this feeling by 10. A 10 times more powerful and intense feeling of love. Whatever it takes, however you do it is fine. Then once again, go 10 times deeper into the state of deep, unconditional love. Now, from this space of deep, infinite, unconditional love, envision that today is your last day in this life, and you will no longer be here tomorrow. As you surrender into this deepening state of unconditional love, what do you come to feel about all of the little quirky things which your friends and family do, which used to bother and irritate you so much? From the state of deep, unconditional love, knowing that it is your last day in this life, see them doing all of the little quirky things, all of the things which used to bother and irritate you so much. How do you feel about them now? The people and all of the little quirky things. What can you now let go of in this state of deep love and knowing? Feel the deepening love and compassion for them, and how meaningless all of those little things now are. And as you surrender even more into this state of infinite love and compassion, what you now come to know and feel about other things that used to bother and irritate you so much. When you're ready, come back with this state of deep love and compassion intact. As you return back into the physical dimension with this state of deep love and compassion intact, what you now come to know and feel about life in this physical world As you ground yourself back in, integrate this deep feeling of love and compassion into your body and experience. As this state of deep compassion and love integrates fully, start moving your arms and legs. Wiggle your fingers and scrunch your toes. Take a deep breath and open your eyes. How different does everything now look and feel in this new life, this new integrated you? And when you're ready, say, I'm back in love, and know all of the many ways that actualizing this deep love and compassion into your everyday life will make a difference to you, to those who you are close to, and to all of the cosmos. So this is a meditation, and I thank everyone for participating. And I invite you to take a look into, as you go through the day, and see how maybe you're reacting and feeling differently to the little things in your life throughout the day. And if anybody's interested and would like a copy of this audio meditation to reinforce or to even go deeper, I'm sure it'll be posted on Facebook and in the website. If you'd like it to be emailed direct to you, you can send me an email, malka@thedivinereveal.com, and I'll be more than happy to send you a copy. It's Malka, M-A-L-K-A, @thedivinereveal, that's all one word, .com. Thank you. Back to you, Ophelia.
Thank you, Maka. That was great. That was great. I needed it. I needed it like real loud. Have a very terrible night last night. So going through that deep meditation was life-changing. Cool. Thank you. I really like it. How do you feel about sharing your email in the chat? So that way the members here, the participants can actually have access to this meditation. As you share, we're going to share your meditation into the Facebook or the group for the International Empowerment Coaches, which is a website. So anybody here that may have any question, I would like to share in regards to how are they coping with the stress in their home and in their relationship with either within yourself or with your partner or with your kids. Any questions that you guys may have? Thank you, everyone, and bye. Thank you. Everything fine? No question at all? Thank you.